New data revealing more information about how many kids under the Department of Juvenile Services supervision have been involved in gun violence. Fox 25's Mackenzie Frost has been going through the data for us, joins us live with what she found. Mackenzie.
Well, Mary, first, it has been 2 weeks since we have been asking the Department of Juvenile Services for this information. Finally, the agency handing it over, and it's a product of the DJS Transparency Act of 2024, which was a day one priority for Baltimore City Democrat State Senator Cory McCray. State lawmakers and other leaders from across the state are not satisfied with what's included in the report. The Department of Juvenile Services finally providing a copy of this, the DJS report on shootings. It shows an 11% increase in total kids statewide under supervision. 16 kids statewide were victims of non-fatal shootings, a 25% decline from 2023. 4 DJS supervised kids were killed. But the juveniles under supervision already accused of shooting someone else increased this year. 31 juveniles were the suspects of shooting someone else. The report does not say whether the victims of those shootings ultimately died. Baltimore City and Prince George's County topped the list where most of these crimes unfolded. 12 kids already under the watch of DJS for another crime shot someone else in Baltimore. 7 juveniles shot someone else in Prince George's County. DJS points to its Thrive Academy as a hallmark action taken by the department in response to these juveniles pulling the trigger of a gun. The program, modeled after Baltimore's Group Violence Reduction Strategy, or GVRS. Kids are offered stipends, life coaches, and education assistance. But this report from July shows not every juvenile involved with Thrive is thriving. 2 of the 108 participants were charged with first-degree murder. 2 others charged with attempted first-degree murder. 4 faced carjacking charges, and 7 faced firearm charges. DJS says safety plans and meetings were held with kids who chose gun violence or were victims while under supervision. Meanwhile, Senate President Bill Ferguson says the report shows a lack of cooperation with all involved.
And one of the stark realities was that within the agency, in a number of cases, the resources and services and interventions that are available are not tracked for quality or effectiveness for who is being placed in those services. This to me was mind-boggling and has to be job number one.
Senator Ferguson says the issue with DJS now is not a problem with the laws, rather with execution.
You'll just have to do their jobs more effectively and more collaboratively.
Is that a failure from the secretary's role and his implementation and oversight of his department?
I think the department is facing a lot of struggles. I think that some of it was inherited. I think that it's an agency that struggled for a while. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The secretary is accountable.
In a statement, a spokesperson says DJS is encouraged to see a decline in the number of kids involved in shootings while under their watch, adding, quote, DJS works diligently to assess risks, address underlying issues, hold youth accountable for their behaviors, and provide effective interventions to help young people avoid being the victim or perpetrator of gun violence. Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says the report highlights improved numbers, but the data still raises questions. Bates tells Fox 45 News any juvenile under DJS supervision should not be involved in any gun violence, adding, quote, if that number is not 0, it indicates a problem that must be addressed. This concern is underscored by the large number of juveniles under DJS care or supervision suspected of shooting another individual. How many of these youths were charged with murder or attempted murder? What do those numbers look like? The findings in this report only publicized because of Senator Cory McCray's effort on day 1 of this last legislative session.
It's when we have juveniles that's engaged in a fatal shooting or a non-fatal shooting, I want to understand what is that after action. How, if they were under the purview of DJS. If they were under the purview of DJS, I think that the Secretary Schiraldi has the responsibility to be able to communicate. When did his agency make contact? How do we know that retaliation isn't going to exist? How do we know that someone isn't going to continue to come after this young man or young woman that's under their purview? And he should be able to articulate that in a manner that anybody can understand.
The plan cleared committees and was given the final green light in the final moments of session. While the report this year does not include any incidents in December, the public will finally start to get a better understanding of what's happening inside DJS. I reached out to Senator Corey McCray today to see his reaction to the findings. He says he has no comment on the data included in the report, but says the information shared by the department allows lawmakers a better understanding of what's going on. Live in the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.